Maya Richardson's fingers drummed lightly on her steering wheel as she hummed along to a gentle jazz tune. The satisfaction of her successful presentation still lingered in her mind. Her team's new algorithm had impressed even the most skeptical board members. She glanced at the small bag on her passenger seat, containing a carefully wrapped present for her nephew Tommy's 8th birthday. The thought of his face lighting up when he opened the junior science kit brought a warm smile to her face. The evening sun cast long shadows across the street as she navigated through the familiar routes of downtown. Her Tesla's dashboard showed 6:45 p.m. She was cutting it close, but Tommy's party didn't start until 7. She promised her sister she wouldn't miss it, just like she hadn't missed any of his previous birthdays. Lost in thought about the day's success and the evening ahead, Maya almost missed the flash of red and blue lights in her rearview mirror. Her heart skipped a beat as she checked her speed. She was certain she'd been driving carefully. With practiced calm, she guided her car to the side of the road, making sure to choose a well-lit spot near a coffee shop. Maya took a deep breath, remembering her father's advice from years ago: stay calm, be professional, and remember who you are. She reached for her purse, retrieving her license and registration before the officer approached. The interior light was already on, another lesson from her father, a retired school principal who taught her the importance of making others feel secure. Through her side mirror, Maya watched the officer approach. His measured steps and straight posture suggested experience, though his face remained hidden beneath the brim of his hat. She lowered her window, keeping both hands visible on the steering wheel. "Good evening, officer," Maya greeted pleasantly, her voice carrying the same confidence she used during her presentation hours earlier. The officer's flashlight beam swept through her car's interior before settling on her face. "License and registration." His tone was clipped, professional but distant. Maya handed over her documents with a steady hand. "May I ask why I was pulled over?" "I don't believe I was speeding." "You ran a yellow light back there," he replied, studying her license with unusual intensity. "This vehicle registered to you?" "Yes, sir. I purchased it last year." Maya's mind quickly replayed the last few intersections. She was certain she proceeded legally through each one. The officer returned to his patrol car, taking her documents with him. Through her mirrors, Maya could see him typing on his computer. 1 minute stretched into 5, then 10. Her phone buzzed. A text from her sister. "Where are you?" "Tommy's asking about his Aunt Maya." Maya's heart sank as she glanced at the time. 7:02 p.m. She quickly typed back. "Got held up. We'll beat her soon." She didn't want to worry her sister with details. After what seemed like an eternity, the officer returned. His flashlight once again illuminated her car's interior as he handed back her documents, along with a ticket. "You're being cited for failing to stop at a yellow light. The fine is $275, due within 30 days. You can contest it in traffic court if you choose." His tone suggested he'd delivered this speech countless times before. Maya accepted the citation, maintaining her composure despite the surprise of the amount. "Thank you, officer. Have a good evening." As the patrol car pulled away, Maya sat still for a moment, studying the ticket in her hands. The data scientist in her noticed several interesting details about the citation. The officer's badge number, the timestamps, the specific intersection. Something didn't add up, and if there was one thing Maya Richardson excelled at, it was making sense of numbers that didn't add up. She carefully placed the ticket in her purse and pulled back onto the road. Tommy's party awaited, and Maya had learned long ago that there was a time and place for everything. Tonight was for celebration. Tomorrow, she would begin gathering data. The courthouse buzzed with morning activity as Maya settled into a wooden bench in Courtroom 3, her laptop balanced perfectly on her knees. She'd chosen to arrive early, securing a spot in the second row where she could observe everything. Her cotton blazer felt crisp against the late summer air conditioning, and she traded her usual tech company casual wear for a professional charcoal suit. Opening her laptop, Maya pulled up a fresh spreadsheet. 3 years of leading data science projects had taught her that the best insights often came from unexpected places. She labeled her columns methodically. Case number, timestamp, stated offense, fine amount, demographics, judge's initial response, final ruling. All rise. The Honorable Judge Gerald Harrison presiding. Maya stood with the others, her trained eye already noting details. Judge Harrison moved with the confidence of someone who'd held his position for decades. His silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses gave him an air of authority, though Maya noticed the slight stiffness in his movements as he settled into his chair. First case, the clerk announced, and Maya's fingers found their home on her keyboard. Over the next 2 hours, she watched 23 cases unfold. Her spreadsheet grew, not just with raw data, but with subtle observations. Judge Harrison smiled exactly 4 times during minor traffic violations. He adjusted his glasses 12 times, but only when dealing with certain types of cases. His tone shifted predictably based on patterns Maya was beginning to recognize. During a brief recess, Maya pulled up her company's advanced statistical analysis software. As a senior data scientist at Tech Future Solutions, she had access to tools that could find patterns in chaos. The preliminary results made her eyebrows rise slightly. Interesting, she whispered, drawing curious glances from her neighbors. The numbers were telling a story that seemed to confirm her initial suspicions about her own ticket. A young mother 2 cases before Maya had received a $50 fine for the exact same yellow light violation. An elderly gentleman after that had his case dismissed entirely. Maya's fingers flew across the keyboard, creating quick visualizations that revealed clear trending patterns. Her phone buzzed, a message from her team about an urgent project review. Maya glanced at the time. Her case would be up soon. She typed a quick response. Running statistical analysis on live data. Will explain later. Pushed meeting to 3 p.m. The courtroom doors opened again, and Judge Harrison returned. Maya saved her work and started a new observation cycle. She noticed how he gripped his gavel slightly tighter when certain cases came up, how his questions followed subtle but predictable patterns. Case number 247, the clerk called out. Maya closed her laptop and stood, smoothing her jacket. Her data wasn't just numbers anymore, it was ammunition. In her career, she'd learned that patterns didn't lie, even when people didn't realize they were creating them. As she walked to the podium, Maya felt the same surge of confidence she experienced before major presentations. Judge Harrison barely glanced up from his papers, but that was fine. She'd spent the morning learning his patterns, understanding his rhythms. Now it was time to show him something he didn't expect. Maya placed her laptop on the podium and opened it carefully. The familiar glow of her screen illuminated her face as she prepared to transform this simple traffic court session into something unprecedented. After all, data had a way of revealing truths that even those creating them couldn't see. Maya stood at the podium, her posture reflecting years of presenting to executive boards. Judge Harrison glanced at her citation with the same cursory attention he'd shown similar cases all morning. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as she waited for his customary opening question. Ms. Richardson, you're contesting a citation for failing to stop at a yellow light. What's your explanation? His tone carried the weariness of someone who heard every excuse imaginable. Thank you, Your Honor, Maya began, her voice clear and measured. Before I address my specific citation, I'd like to present some relevant data I've gathered this morning. She turned her laptop screen toward the bench, her fingers hovering over the keyboard with practiced precision. Judge Harrison's forehead creased. Ms. Richardson, this is traffic court. We deal with facts, not presentations. Indeed, Your Honor, Maya replied, a slight smile touching her lips. And facts are exactly what I'm here to discuss. With the court's permission, I've analyzed the public records of this morning's proceedings, including similar citations. The judge leaned forward, his reading glasses sliding down his nose. Young lady, we don't have time for. 3 minutes, Your Honor, Maya interjected politely but firmly. That's all I request to demonstrate something I believe will interest the court. Her finger traced the edge of her laptop, where a complex graph waited to tell its story. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Few people interrupted Judge Harrison, known for his strict adherence to procedure. But something in Maya's professional demeanor made him pause. 3 minutes, he conceded, checking his watch. Maya launched her presentation with the smoothness of someone who pitched million-dollar projects for breakfast. This first graph shows the distribution of fines issued this morning for yellow light violations. Her screen displayed a clear visualization, colors shifting across a statistical curve. As you can see, there's a notable pattern in the data. Her cursor highlighted specific points on the graph. The average fine for this violation is $85, with a standard deviation of $25. However, certain demographics show significantly higher averages, reaching up to $275, the exact amount of my citation. Judge Harrison's expression shifted from dismissive to focused. Maya noticed his hand move away from his gavel as he leaned in for a closer look. Furthermore, she continued, sliding to the next visualization. When we factor in time of day, vehicle type, and location, the pattern becomes even more distinct. My algorithm, which we use at Tech Future Solutions to detect unconscious patterns in decision-making, indicates a statistically significant correlation. The courtroom had fallen silent. Even the clerk had stopped shuffling papers. Maya's graphs and charts told a compelling story, one that couldn't be dismissed with a bang of the gavel. "Your Honor," she said, her voice softening slightly, "I'm not here just to contest a $275 fine. As a data scientist, I believe in letting numbers speak for themselves, and these numbers are telling us something important." Judge Harrison removed his glasses, cleaning them slowly with his handkerchief, a gesture Maya had noted earlier as his response to unexpected information. When he looked up, his eyes held a different kind of attention. "Dr. Richardson," he said, emphasizing her proper title, "would you be willing to share more detailed analysis of these findings in my chambers?" Maya nodded, already pulling up additional data sets she prepared. "Of course, Your Honor. I believe this could be the beginning of a very productive conversation." The gallery watched in amazement as the morning's simple traffic court transformed into something entirely unexpected. Maya's 3 minutes had done more than contest the ticket. They'd opened a door to change. The judge's chambers felt worlds away from the formal courtroom atmosphere. Leather-bound books lined the walls, and afternoon sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating dust motes that danced in the air. Maya sat across from Judge Harrison at his desk, her laptop now connected to a larger monitor he used for reviewing case files. "Dr. Richardson," Judge Harrison began, folding his hands on his desk, "I've been on this bench for 23 years. No one has ever approached their defense quite like this." His tone carried curiosity rather than criticism. Maya smiled warmly as she pulled up a more detailed version of her analysis. "In my work, Your Honor, we often find that the most valuable insights come from unexpected perspectives. May I show you something fascinating?" The judge nodded, and Maya began typing with swift efficiency. "This is a machine learning model we developed at Tech Future Solutions to detect patterns in large datasets. I've fed it 5 years of public court records." Her fingers danced across the keyboard, bringing colorful visualizations to life. "See these clusters?" She pointed to a series of overlapping circles. Each represents different types of traffic violations. The colors indicate fine amounts, and these lines show correlations with various factors: time of day, location, vehicle type. Judge Harrison leaned forward, his glasses reflecting the screen's glow. "And you're saying these patterns suggest?" "Not suggest, Your Honor. Demonstrate." Maya zoomed in on a particular section. For instance, in yellow light violation cases, there's a 72% higher likelihood of receiving the maximum fine based on certain variables that shouldn't be relevant to the case. The judge's face remained neutral, but his fingers drummed softly on his desk. "Dr. Richardson, are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything, sir," Maya interjected gently. "I'm letting the data speak. In my field, we've learned that bias often isn't conscious or intentional. It's subtle, systemic, and usually invisible until you have the right tools to see it." She switched to another visualization, a timeline showing the evolution of sentencing patterns. Look here. Over time, these trends have actually decreased in your courtroom compared to others. You've been making progress naturally. I'm just offering a way to accelerate that progress. Judge Harrison stood up and walked to his window, hands clasped behind his back. The silence stretched for a moment before he turned back to Maya. You know, my daughter is about your age. She's always telling me how technology is changing the world. He paused, studying Maya's professional demeanor. I never expected it to change my courtroom. Maya closed her laptop partially, giving the judge her full attention. Change doesn't have to be threatening, Your Honor. In fact, it can be incredibly positive. At Tech Future, we've helped dozens of organizations identify and address similar patterns, leading to better outcomes for everyone. And you discovered all this because of a traffic ticket. There was a hint of amusement in his voice now. Sometimes the smallest incidents reveal the biggest opportunities, Maya replied. I could help implement a monitoring system that would flag potential inconsistencies before they become patterns. Complete transparency, complete confidentiality. Judge Harrison returned to his desk, picking up Maya's original citation. With deliberate movements, he marked a DSMSSED and signed his name. Dr. Richardson, I believe we have an opportunity here that's much more important than a traffic fine. Would you be willing to present these findings to our Judicial Review Board? Maya's eyes lit up with the same excitement she felt when discovering a groundbreaking pattern in her data. Your Honor, I would be honored. In fact, I have some ideas about how we could create a pilot program. The afternoon sun continued its journey across the judge's chambers as two professionals from different worlds found common ground in the pursuit of positive change. Judge Harrison sat alone in his chambers late that evening, his computer screen still displaying Maya's analysis. The usual stack of case files lay untouched at the corner of his desk. For the first time in 23 years, he felt like he was the one being judged, not by a person, but by the cold, clear numbers on his screen. He clicked through the visualizations again, each graph telling a story he'd never noticed before. His mouse hovered over a particularly striking chart showing sentencing patterns over the past 5 years. The data was irrefutable, yet somehow gentle in its revelation. Dr. Richardson had presented everything as an opportunity for improvement rather than an accusation. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Come in, he called, recognizing the familiar tap of his clerk, James. Still here, Your Honor, James asked, carrying a fresh cup of coffee. It's past 7. Look at this, James, Judge Harrison gestured to the screen. Dr. Richardson's analysis. It's quite remarkable. He pointed to a specific data point. See this case from last month? I remember it clearly. Thought I was being completely fair. But when you see it in context with all the others. James set down the coffee and leaned in to look. I heard about what happened in court today. Word travels fast around here. People are saying it was quite the presentation. She could have used this data to embarrass me, to demand immediate action. Judge Harrison mused, taking a sip of coffee. Instead, she showed me an opportunity to make our system better. He pulled out his reading glasses, squinting at another chart. Did you know I've been gradually improving over the years? I didn't, but the numbers show it. Standing up, he walked to the wall of photographs commemorating his career. His eyes lingered on an image from his swearing-in ceremony. When I took my oath, I promised to administer justice fairly. I've always believed I was doing that. You're one of the most respected judges in the circuit, James reminded him. Perhaps, Harrison nodded, but respect shouldn't prevent us from growing. He returned to his desk and opened his email, where Dr. Richardson had already sent a detailed proposal for implementing a monitoring system. The thoroughness impressed him. She must have worked through her lunch break to prepare it. James, clear my calendar for tomorrow morning. I want to review every case similar to Dr. Richardson's from the past month. Then schedule a meeting with the Judicial Review Board for next week. It's time we had a serious discussion about modernizing our approach. As James nodded and turned to leave, Judge Harrison called after him. And James, remember that technology training program we kept pushing to next quarter's budget? Move it to priority status. Alone again, he opened his desk drawer and pulled out a framed photo of his daughter. She was accepting her medical degree, beaming with pride. He remembered how she challenged his old-school approach to her career choices, helping him understand that times were changing. Twice in one lifetime, he chuckled to himself, taught by brilliant young women to see things differently. He turned back to his computer and began typing. Dear Dr. Richardson, after careful review of your proposal, I believe we can take this even further. Would you be available to discuss implementing these changes across our entire circuit? The cursor blinked steadily as he composed the email, each word representing another brick in the bridge between tradition and progress. Outside his window, the city lights began to twinkle on, a reminder that enlightenment could come at any hour. The following week found Maya and Judge Harrison seated at a large conference table, surrounded by screens displaying data visualizations. Empty coffee cups testified to their third hour of collaboration, but their energy remained high as they refined their presentation for the upcoming Judicial Review Board meeting. So if we implement this alert system, Maya explained, pointing to a flowchart on her tablet, judges can review their decisions in real time. It's like having a friendly advisor who notices patterns you might miss in the moment. She swiped to a new screen, showing a simple, elegant interface. Judge Harrison nodded, adjusting his glasses, and it maintains judicial discretion while providing valuable insights. Brilliant. He paused, considering something. You know, when I started my career, we kept records in leather-bound books. Now look at us, using artificial intelligence to enhance justice. Technology is just a tool, Your Honor. Maya smiled, pulling up another screen, like a gavel or a law book. It's how we use it that matters. She demonstrated the system's feedback mechanism, showing how it could detect subtle patterns over time. A knock at the door interrupted them. Sarah Chen, the court's chief technology officer, entered with a stack of reports. Dr. Richardson, those historical case analyses you requested are ready. And Judge, the other circuit court judges are incredibly interested in your pilot program. They're asking to sit in on next week's presentation. Wonderful, the judge responded, then turned to Maya. Dr. Richardson, would you be comfortable with a larger audience? Maya was already adjusting their presentation slides. Absolutely. The more people we can reach, the greater our impact. She pulled up a new data set, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Actually, this gives me an idea. We could create a networked system across all circuits, sharing anonymized data to identify broader patterns. Judge Harrison watched her work, reminded again of his daughter's enthusiasm when discussing medical breakthroughs. You know, Dr. Richardson, when you first presented your findings in my courtroom, I felt defensive. But you showed me something important. That growth doesn't mean admitting failure. It means embracing opportunity. Maya paused her typing, touched by his candor. That's exactly what I tell my team at Tech Future. Data isn't about blame, it's about illumination. Speaking of which, she brought up a new graph showing the judge's ruling patterns over the past week. Look at how your awareness has already influenced your decisions. The judge leaned forward, genuinely impressed. The inconsistencies had decreased significantly, even in such a short time. And this system can help other judges achieve similar improvements. Even better, Maya beamed, switching to another visualization. It can help them improve faster by learning from each other's experiences. Collective growth, supported by data. Sarah, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. This could revolutionize our entire approach to judicial training. Dr. Richardson, would you consider conducting workshops for our staff? Before Maya could respond, the judge raised his hand playfully. One step at a time, Sarah. First, let's get through next week's presentation. He turned to Maya with a knowing smile. Though something tells me this is just the beginning. Maya gathered her tablets, her professional demeanor briefly giving way to genuine excitement. You know what the best part is? This all started with a simple traffic ticket. It proves that opportunity for positive change can come from anywhere. As they wrapped up their session, Judge Harrison picked up one of Maya's data printouts. Dr. Richardson, You've helped me see that justice isn't just about making decisions. It's about understanding the patterns that influence those decisions. Thank you." Maya packed her laptop, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. What had begun as a personal challenge had grown into something far more significant, a chance to make a lasting difference in the justice system. The Judicial Review Board meeting had transformed into something much bigger than originally planned. What was supposed to be a small conference room presentation now filled the courthouse's main auditorium. Judges from 3 neighboring districts sat shoulder to shoulder with court administrators and legal technology experts. Maya stood confidently at the podium, her presentation slides crisp and clear on the large screen behind her. Judge Harrison sat in the front row, nodding encouragingly as she outlined their pilot program's initial results. "In just these few weeks," Maya explained, clicking to a new slide, "we've seen a 40% reduction in decision pattern inconsistencies across all types of cases." She paused as murmurs rippled through the audience. But what's most exciting isn't the numbers, it's the engagement from the judges themselves. She switched to a heat map showing user interaction with the new system. Judges aren't just reviewing their decisions, they're actively seeking insights, sharing experiences, and supporting each other's growth. This isn't just oversight, it's collaborative learning. From his seat, Judge Harrison watched the faces of his colleagues. He recognized the same journey he'd experienced, initial skepticism giving way to genuine interest. When Maya showed a video clip of him using the system to review his recent decisions, several judges leaned forward in their seats. During the tea and a session, hands shot up across the auditorium. A senior judge from the Eastern District stood up. "Dr. Richardson, could this system be adapted for civil court proceedings?" "Absolutely," Maya responded, pulling up a new simulation. "In fact, we've already begun modeling how it would work in different court settings. The underlying principle remains the same: using data to support, not replace, judicial wisdom." Another judge, younger and tech-savvy, jumped in. "I've been following Tech Future's work in AI ethics. How do you ensure the system itself doesn't perpetuate existing biases?" Maya's face lit up at the thoughtful question. "Excellent point. We've implemented multiple safeguards." She launched into an explanation that managed to be both technically precise and perfectly clear to the non-technical audience. During the lunch break, Judge Harrison found Maya surrounded by a group of eager judges, all sharing their court's unique challenges and opportunities. She listened intently, occasionally jotting notes on her tablet. "Dr. Richardson," he interrupted gently, "the Chief Justice is on video conference. He'd like a word with you about implementing this statewide." Maya excused herself from the group, but not before exchanging contact information with several judges. As they walked to the conference room, she noticed something that made her smile. Judge Harrison was showing another judge how to access the pattern recognition features on his tablet. "You've become quite the tech ambassador," she commented. He chuckled, adjusting his reading glasses. "Well, when you find something that works, you want to share it. My daughter says I've been texting her too many screenshots of the system. She's thrilled, by the way. Says it's about time courts entered the 21st century." Before entering the conference room, Maya paused. Through the window, she could see groups of judges and administrators huddled over tablets, actively engaging with the system she'd helped create. What had started as a response to a traffic ticket had sparked a revolution in judicial transparency and fairness. "Ready to take this statewide?" Judge Harrison asked, holding the door open. Maya straightened her blazer, her mind already racing with possibilities. "Ready to make history," she replied, stepping forward to meet the future she'd helped create. 1 year later, Maya stood on the stage at the National Conference for Judicial Innovation, facing an audience that included Supreme Court justices, legal tech pioneers, and judges from across the country. Her original traffic ticket, now elegantly framed, sat on the podium beside her laptop. "Innovation often comes from unexpected places," she began, gesturing to the ticket. "A year ago, I walked into a courtroom prepared to contest a simple traffic violation. Today, I'm here to share how that moment transformed into a nationwide movement for judicial transparency." The massive screen behind her displayed real-time data from courts across 12 states that had adopted their system. Colorful visualizations showed thousands of judicial decisions being made with unprecedented fairness and consistency. In the front row, Judge Harrison beamed with pride. He'd flown in specially for this presentation, taking a break from his new role as chair of the National Committee for Judicial Technology Integration, a position he'd initially resisted but now embraced wholeheartedly. The numbers tell an incredible story, Maya continued, switching to a new slide. Across participating courts, we've seen a 65% reduction in decision inconsistencies. But the real success isn't in the statistics, it's in the cultural shift. She played a video montage showing judges collaborating, sharing insights, and actively engaging with the system. One clip featured Judge Harrison mentoring younger judges, showing them how to use data to reflect on their decision-making processes. What started in one traffic court has sparked a revolution in judicial transparency, Maya explained. But more importantly, it's shown us that technology and tradition aren't opponents. They're partners in the pursuit of justice. During the tea in a session, a young law student stood up. Dr. Richardson, what would you say to critics who worry this system might replace judicial discretion? Maya smiled, sharing a knowing look with Judge Harrison. Actually, Judge Harrison answered this beautifully in his recent TED talk. Would you mind, Your Honor? Judge Harrison stood, his voice carrying the weight of experience. This system doesn't replace judgment, it enhances it. Just as a law book provides guidance, this technology provides insight. The final decision always rests with the judge, but now we make those decisions with better awareness and understanding. After the presentation, at a small celebration dinner, Maya's team from Tech Future surprised her with a cake decorated with the number 247, her original case number. Judge Harrison raised his glass in a toast. To Dr. Maya Richardson, he announced, who taught an old judge new tricks and helped us all see justice more clearly. Maya stood to respond, but paused as her phone buzzed. It was a notification from their system. Courts across the country had just processed their millionth case using the new technology. She shared the news with the room, drawing enthusiastic applause. You know, she said, addressing the gathering, when I was sitting in traffic court that day, I never imagined where it would lead. But it taught me something important. Change doesn't always come from grand plans or major initiatives. Sometimes it comes from one person looking at an ordinary situation and asking, could this be better? She raised her glass in return. To everyone who's been part of this journey and to all those who will continue it. Because the best part about progress is that it never really ends, it just opens doors to new possibilities. Later that evening, as Maya packed up her presentation materials, she took one last look at her framed ticket. What had once seemed like an unfair burden had become a catalyst for change, reminding her that opportunities for improvement could be found in the most unexpected places. All it took was the courage to speak up and the wisdom to listen.